This conference will
Okay.
now be recorded.
In in the previous session, we started a trigger. Our requirement is we created one custom object. We created one custom object. My custom object name is nothing but sales team data. This is my custom object. In this custom object, we created st1, st2, st3, three custom fields. What are the data types is nothing but any data type, it doesn't matter. And after that, we created some test record. Okay, we created some test record. Okay, so now I will go to the sales team. Go to app launcher, go to app launcher, sales team data, sales team data. In second, it is loading. It is still loading. We created some test data. Now we are going with the sales team data object. Okay, this is the test data. Okay, this is the test data. The next step is go to the account object. Account is a standard object. Account is a standard object. From the account object, here account is a child object. Here account is a child object. From the account object, we are trying to making a relationship with the sales team. We are making a relationship with the sales team data. The relationship is nothing but lookup relationship. The relationship is nothing but lookup relationship. Go to account object. Go to account object. Go to account object. Account is a standard object. Okay. Now we want to navigate to the fields. Go to object level. Click on edit object. Okay. Click on edit object. Now go to fields and relationship sections. Fields and relationship section. Search for the sales team data. Okay. Search for sales team data. See here we created one custom field that is a lookup to the sales team data. Means account is a child object, and the sales team data is a parent object. In addition to that, okay, in addition to that, we created some custom fields like AC1, AC2, AC3. All these are the custom fields at the account object level. Now, my requirement is, suppose we are trying to creating a new account record. Suppose we are trying to creating a new account record. Suppose user he will select the sales team data. Whenever user he will select the sales team data, so he will select any one of the record and click on the save button. Click on the save button. Then what we are expecting from the system? Automatically fetch the data from AB record and it should populate into AC1, AC2, AC3. This is our requirement. This is our requirement. First, we have to understand the requirement clearly. Okay, these type of requirement, the best solution is, and the only solution is, we have to go with the trigger programming. We have to go with the trigger programming. The first point is how many objects are there in our requirement. Sales team data object is there, account object is there. On which object we will write our trigger? On which object we will write our trigger? Account object. So why we will write our trigger in account object? Because of on which object we are performing our operation. Our requirement is whenever we are creating an account record, right? When we are creating, when we are creating account record, right? Account record. So where we are doing our operation? In account object we are doing our operation. So finally, how many objects are there in our requirement? It doesn't matter. Where we are doing our operation. In account object level, we are doing our operation. We are trying to creating one opportunity, sorry, we are trying to creating one account record. We are trying to creating one account record. So we are doing our operation at the account record level. So finally, we will write our trigger in account object. So I will go to the developer console. Okay, go to the developer console. Go to the developer console. Okay, and go to file. Still it is loading. Otherwise, go to here, open from here. 1 second. Yeah, it is loading. Go to file, new, Apex trigger. Okay, Apex trigger. So what is your trigger name is nothing but update or populate sales team data. Okay, populate sales team data. Okay, populate sales team data. And which object we are writing? Account object, right? How many objects are there in our requirement? Two objects are there. Sales team data object is there, account object is there, but we are writing our trigger in account object. Why we are writing our trigger in account object? Okay, because of we are creating an account record. Okay, that's why our requirement is while creating an account record. While creating an account record, we want to fetch the data from another object and we have to assign the data in account object. That is our requirement. See, trigger, this is my trigger name, on account object, this is account object API. When this trigger, it will fire. We have to tell to the system. While creating a record, right? Creating means technically we will call it as an insert operation, right? In the insert, two types of insert are there, right? One is before insert and after insert, right? Here before insert we are going. Why we are going means I will explain. Then what is my next step? What is my next step? Suppose user is user is trying to creating new account record. While creating a new account record, suppose user he will select the sales in data. Suppose user he will select the sales team data. Now we have to check whether user selected this field or not. We have to check whether user selected this particular field or not. So how we have to get this particular field in our trigger program? So the only option is we have to bring the complete record, right? How to bring the complete record? Complete record, the only option is trigger.new. Trigger.new means it will give the complete record. Why we have to bring the complete record? Our requirement is we have to check whether user selected sales team data or not. So we need this particular field, right? We need this particular field we need. So how to get this particular field means we have to fetch the current record. So trigger.new is nothing but it will give the current record. Which record it will give? Contact record it will give, or opportunity record it will give. Which record? We are working with the account object, right? Account record it will give. The reference variable name is anything. I will just make it as a account record. Now I am trying to adding for loop here. Now I am trying to adding for loop here. Why we are adding for loop? Trigger.new is nothing but it will give the complete record. It will give the complete record it will give. So which record? Account record. From that account record, we are trying to fetching our field. Lot of fields are there. Lot of fields. That's why we are using here for loop, open bracket, close bracket. Here open curly braces. The next one is close curly braces. Then the next second step is we have to check, right, whether user selected this sales team data or not, right? We have to check, right? We have to check. So if ACC record dot sales team data underscore C does not equals to null. Does not equals to null. What does that mean? Suppose user is trying to creating one account record. In that account record, suppose user he will selected the sales team data. Suppose user is selected the sales team data, then only have to enter here. Then only have to enter here. User selected the sales team data or not, how we will identify? Suppose I will not select anything, then what system it will take? It will take null. There may be a chance, right? Because of this is not a mandatory field, right? If it is a mandatory field, then he will select automatically. Okay, he should select. It is not mandatory, so he will select or he will not select. He will select or he will not select. So that we have to check in our trigger programming. My trigger should work whenever he will select the sales team data only. How we are going to find whether user selected the sales team data or not is nothing but we have to add the null condition. Suppose user he will not select the sales team data, then the backend, the system it will assign null value. Here what I am doing, I am checking if does not equals to, this is a symbol, does not equals to, this is equals to, right? This is equals to, this is does not equals to means sales team data does not equals to null means user selected the data there. Suppose user he will selected the data there, then what it will do? I'm just printing system.debug. I'm printing system.debug. Here ACC, I'm just printing for our understanding purpose. For our understanding purpose, I am trying to printing here. Okay, ACC account record dot sales team, and before also I will add one more debug statement, so we will verify two conditions. Suppose user he will not select, then what system it will take. Suppose user he will select, then what the system it will take. Okay, try to save this one. We added two debug statements. One debug statement is here and the debug statement is here. This is for our understanding purpose. Now what I will do is I will go to here, I will activate my debug logs. Go to setup and go to debugs. Quick find debug and then debug logs. Debug logs. Still it is loading. And I am trying to deleting the existing logs and deleting this user also. My user is Ramesh. This user also I am trying to delete it. Lot of users are there. Now what I will do is click on this new button. Click on this new button and I'm trying to activating this one for the current user Ramesh. It is 30 minutes. Now go to your debug level and here this is apex code is equals to finest, right? Apex code is equals to finest. We selected this debug level. Click on the save button. Now what we are verifying, go to here. I am trying to creating one account record. Go to here and enter all the mandatory details. Test account name. See here this time I am not selecting anything here. I am not selecting anything here. Click on the save button. When we click on the save button, what system it will do? It will execute in the order. Some order is there. Salesforce only defines some order. So I will run in this order. Which order means we will discuss. That is called order of execution. Okay. First, lot of things are there in the system, right? First, which one we have to execute? Some order is there that we have to remember. In interview also they will ask. Click on the save button. So it will verify our trigger. It will verify our trigger. So now go to my debug logs. Okay, go to my debug logs. 1 second. Go to debug logs. Refresh this one. Refresh this one. Refresh this one. Now scroll down here. Two logs are there. Which one we have to go? Verify from first one onwards. Okay, we are not guarantee on which logs it is. Okay, we are not guarantee. Verify each and every one. So now this is my debug first one, right? What I will do is I will take this one. So whatever we mentioned inside the single quote, right? Take this one and you have to verify. See here, yes. See, suppose user he will not select anything, then what system it will apply to this value is nothing but null only, right? So now we are guaranteed, right? So this is our trigger. Populate sales team data. This is our trigger. Line number 5. Here you have to observe line number 5 is there, right? Line number 5. Okay. So here it is verifying. So suppose you will not select anything. I mean, here it is verifying. But before that, what we are added? So we are printing. Suppose we will not select anything, then what system it will do means it will assign null value here. Null value. That's why here I am adding one condition. If sales team data does not equals to, this is a does not equals to symbol, does not equals to null means suppose user will select the sales team data. Now I will just go to here, I will delete these logs. Again I will just go and create one more account record. Go to here, click on this new account button, enter all the details, enter all the details. This time I will select the data. See here, sales team data, sales team data. Which record I selected? KL record I selected. Just remember, KL record we selected. Click on the save button. Click on the save button. Now go to my debug logs. Refresh this debug logs. Refresh this debug logs. Okay, now go to here. Refresh this one. See which logs we have to go. So from first log we have to open. Okay, now go to here, go to here. See here, sales team data. 1 second. This one go to not this 1 second. The logs I think changed. See, not this log, this log. Okay, this is the log. Now go to here. Now go to here. Now go to here. Control F. Here you have to observe. This is main important. What system it is doing? So what we selected? What we selected? Sales team data record we selected. What is the sales team data here? What is the sales team? KL, right? KL. But back end what system it is doing? Here you have to observe. This is ID. KL record ID. KL record ID. So because of this is a lookup field. So lookup field already we discussed whether it is a lookup field or master detail relationship field. Front end it will display the name, that record name. But back end, whenever we are coming into the programming, the system automatically take that record ID, KL record ID. See here, the system is taking KL record ID. ACC the account record dot sales team data. I am trying to printing here. It is taking the record ID. Here you have to observe. This is a record ID. Front end it will display that record name. Now we are clear, right? Here what is the point is, whenever we are working with the lookup fields or master detail relationship field, front end it will display that record name. Front end it will display that record name. But back end what system it will do? It will take that record ID. So click on this one. Click on this one. I am trying to opening a new tab. See what is the record ID? See here. This is a record ID, right? This is a record ID. This record ID here it is taking. Whenever we are coming into the programming, so for lookup relationship and master detail relationship, only these two fields. It will take that record ID. Which record ID? This is a KL record ID. KL record, right? KL record. This record ID, where is this record ID? It will open in the URL, right? It will open in the URL. That record ID it will take. That record ID it will take. So whenever we are working with the lookup relationship and master detail relationship, front end it will take the record name, and back end it will take that particular record ID it will take. We are clear or any question? We are clear or any question? Okay, fine. So now here what we are getting? Account record dot sales team data is nothing but we are getting this record ID, right? Now what is my next step? What is my next step? So we are getting this record ID. Okay, this record ID we are trying to getting. Then what is my next step? We have to fetch this data, right? We have to fetch this record data. How to fetch this record data? How do we? I want to get that record data. How to get the record data? The only option is we have to write SOQL query. SOQL query to fetch the data. To fetch the data. To fetch the data, we are writing SOQL query. So how to write SOQL query is nothing but select ID. We should use ID whenever we are trying to fetching the data. We should use ID. Okay, ID. The next point is st1 underscore underscore c. See, st1 underscore underscore c, and the next one is st2 underscore underscore ce, right? st2 underscore underscore c. Then the next one is st3 underscore underscore c, and the next one from which object? What is my object name? My object name is nothing but sales team data, right? This is my SOQL query. Suppose we will execute this SOQL query, what system it will do? So shall we verify? How to verify? In the developer console we have query editor is there, right? Go to query editor. You have to run this query. You have to run this query. Okay, click on execute button. See what it is giving. Suppose we will write this query, then what it is giving? It is giving all the 3 sales team records, right? But what is my requirement? I don't want all 3 sales team record. How many sales team records are there in my object? I don't want. User he will select one sales team record at the account level. That record data we want. That record data we want. So that's why what we have to do. where so user he will select one sales team record, right? User he will select one sales team record. Which record? This record, right? This record. So that's why what we will do is where id equals to colon here acc account record dot sales team data. I'm just adding id here. We are just adding id here. Up to now what we are doing, we are fetching all the sales team data records. We don't want all sales team data records. What we want, user he will select one sales team record at the account level. Yes, that sales team record where we are storing, we are storing into this particular field. We are storing into this particular field. So what we found, so finally it will give the id. So finally it will give the id. So here id is there, here id is there. So here in the where clause what we have to do, we have to add name or id. Which one we have to add? We have to add id only here. We have to add id only. See, we have to add id only. See, go to add. Again I am trying to executing this SQL query. See, id, this is id, this is a name, st1 field, st2 field, st3 fields. So by using this SQL query we are fetching all sales team records. All sales team record we are trying to fetching, but we don't want all sales team record. User he will select one sales team record at the account level. Yes, user selected sales team record where we are storing. We are storing into this particular field, right? ACCT record dot sales team data. We are storing into this particular field, right? So it will give the name or ID. It will give ID. It will give ID. That's why here in the where clause we are adding ID equals to colon and this one. So finally user is trying to creating one account record. While creating an account record, suppose user will select the sales team data, then it will enter into here that sales team data, so based on that sales team data field, we are trying to fetching the record from the sales team object, so now as a result what we are getting, how many sales team record we are trying to getting, we are getting so we am using list here. Why we are using list, I will explain. Okay, we are using list here, sales team data. Okay, sales team data. So don't use list here. Okay, don't use list here. In the next session we will discuss. Okay, here how many, now I am using only one record, right? Here only one record only, right? That's why I'm directly using the sales team data, because of we are guarantee only one record is there. We are guaranteed. That's why I'm not using any list. I'm directly using this particular object API. So the next step is we are getting sales team data. Sales team data is ready. Now what is my next step? We have to assign. Where we have to assign? In the account object. In the account object, which field we have to assign? AC1 is there, right? So what is the reference for the account object? ACC account record dot, see AC1, this field is there, right? So into this field which data we have to assign? Sales team data we are fetching. From the sales team data, which data we have to assign? So ST1 data we are trying to assigning. So this data I am trying to assigning into this AC1 field. Now the next one is another field in account record. Account record dot AC2. See here in AC2, which field we are trying to assigning? We are getting sales team data. In the sales team data, which field? Which field we have to assign? We have to assign ST2 here. Now go to here, account record dot AC3 is equals to sales team data dot st3. So finally this is our trigger. Okay, this is our trigger. So what we are doing, once again I'm just removing all these debug statements are completely for our understanding purpose. So so now this is my code. I want to format this code. How to format this code is nothing but select all. Okay, select all, control tab. Okay, control tab, try to save this one, then it will come into the proper format. Control, sorry, shift to tab, not control tab, shift to tab. Okay, it will come into the proper format. select all code, shift tab, it will come into the proper format. Now once again I will explain. Our requirement is we are trying to creating one account record. See, we are trying to creating one account record. This is my account record, this is my account record we are trying to creating. While creating an account record, suppose you will select the sales team data here. Suppose you will select the sales team data here and click on the save button. Click on the save button. Then what we are expecting some from the system, assume that you selected the sales team as a KL and click on the save button. What we are expecting from the system? Okay, here one sales team object is there. In the sales team object, KL record is there. For KL record, some data is there. Some data is there. That data you have to fetch and you have to assign into this particular record. So this field data and this field data and this field data, this is our requirement. So here we are writing our trigger in account object. Why we are writing our trigger in account object? We have account object is there and the sales team object is there. Two objects are there. Then why we are writing our trigger in account object? Because of we are trying to creating a new record. We are trying to creating new account record. We are doing our operation in the account object. We are doing our operation in the account object. Okay, that's why we are writing our trigger in account object. On which object we are performing our operation? I'm trying to creating new account record. That time we are expecting the result. So how many objects are there in our requirement, it doesn't matter. Finally, on which object we are performing our operation? Account object. So we are trying to creating new account record, then we are expecting the result. Then we are expecting the result. Okay, that's why we are writing a trigger in a account object. Before insert here we are using. Then what is my next step? You are trying to creating an account record. While creating an account record, suppose you will select the sales team only. Suppose you will select the sales team. Yet sales team is not mandatory field. Sometime you will select and sometime you will not select. My requirement is what? Suppose you will select the sales team. Suppose you will select the sales team. How we will check whether you selected the sales team or not? So suppose you will not select anything, the system it will assign null value. Suppose you will select the sales team, then there is some data. That's why here we are checking if condition we are adding. If condition, open bracket, close bracket. Inside this one I am taking is a account record variable dot sales team does not equals to null. Does not equals to null. This is a does not equals to symbol. Does not equals to. Does not equals to null means what? There is a data. If user he will select the sales team, then you have to enter into here. Then you have to enter. Yes, user selected the sales team. The sales team is nothing but a KL. Okay, now here it will enter. It will try to execute this query. Up to now what it will do? It will fetch all the sales team record. I don't want all the sales team record. Then what we want? User is selected one sales team. That data we want. That data we want. In the front end it is showing the record name, right? KL record name here it is showing. Front end it is showing the record name, that is nothing but KL. Then back end, what is the record ID for the KL? That it will fetch. That it will fetch account record dot sales team data, that it will fetch. That's why in the where clause I am adding ID. Suppose it will fetch a name, then we will use it like where name is equals to this one. But it is not fetching the, but it is not taking the name. It is taking that record ID. Because of that is a lookup field and master detail relationship. That is a Salesforce default functionality. Front end it will display the KL, but back end it will fetch that KL record ID. Every record has a ID, right? Every record has ID. That record ID it will fetch. So that record here we are trying to, checking where. That's why I'm using in the where class we are using ID equals to colon this one. So it will give the sales team record ID, right? It will give the sales team record data. It will give with this SQL query. What it will give? It will give the sales team record data. It will give how many sales team records are there. Only one sales team record is there, right? Only one sales team. That's why here I am using sales team data, not list. Not list. I am not using any list. We are guarantee only one sales team data record is there. That's why here we are using. So line number 10, what we are getting? This is sales team data we are getting. 9, 10, 11, this name and this ID. Because of these fields only we are adding in the SQL query, right? So these fields only we are trying to fetching from this particular object. Okay, from this particular object we are trying to fetching all these fields. Now data is ready, we are getting the data. Now what is my next step? This data, take this data 9, you have to assign 9, take this data and you have to assign into where? In account object we have some field is there, that field you have to assign. That's what here we are doing. Sales team data dot st1 underscore underscore c is equals to, we are trying to assigning where we are assigning in account object, in the current account record only, right? We have to assign current account record is nothing but this one, account record dot ac1. See here, this is another field, right? This field we are trying to assigning into here. This is another field that we are trying to assigning into here. So shall we go and execute this trigger? Go to here, we will go and test it. How to test? Go to here, I am trying to creating one new account record. Click on this new button, click on this new button. We go to here and enter all the mandatory details, enter all the mandatory details. Click on the save button. Whenever I will click on the save button, what system it will do? It will fire our trigger. So what it will do, it will go to this particular trigger. Yes, while creating account record, yes, it will take that current record ID. But here in this case I am not selecting any sales team data. Here I am not selecting any sales team data. Click on the save button. So then it will not enter into inside this condition. Okay, inside this condition it will not enter. Now go to here, I will just go and create one more record. Click on this new button, click on this new button and enter here test. Okay, enter here and select the sales team. Here select the sales team, I am trying to selecting XYZ. Click on the save button. Hardware, 1 second. Okay, now go to here, click on the save button. We are trying to select XYZ. Click on the XYZ. Click on XYZ. Now go to here. Now go to here. Here you have to observe AC1, AC2, AC3. These data is populating, right? So any questions on this one or any confusion? Any questions or any confusion? Okay. Now coming into here, we will discuss one more trigger. We will discuss one more trigger. But whatever this trigger we wrote, right? Here we are not implementing any best practices. So suppose anyone will look into this trigger, they will not accept. They will not accept. Why they will not accept means we will discuss. Okay, this is not the proper way. So then why we are writing this trigger means for our understanding purpose I wrote this trigger. So we have to implement a set list map. By implementing these three we have to write this trigger. Okay, we have to write this trigger. Suppose I will write the trigger like this, then what is the problem? Then what is the problem we will discuss. Okay, then what is the problem we will discuss. First try to understand the concept. Okay, suppose user is trying to creating one account record and he select one lookup field, lookup field and click on the save button. Lookup field means backend it will produce the ID. Based on that ID we are trying to fetching the data from different object. How to fetch the data from another object is nothing but by using SQL query. By using SQL query. Okay, so then we are trying to assigning into here. Try to understand the concept. Okay, we will discuss in the next session. We will discuss by implementing all best practices. We will write the same trigger again. Okay, we'll write the same trigger again. Try to understand the concept only. Now coming into here, we will discuss one more trigger. My trigger is user is a standard object. Go to my requirement is user is a standard object. Go to user object. Okay, go to user. Go to object manager. Go to user. Okay, go to user. User is a standard object. User is a standard object. Go to user object. Go to user object and try to create some fields. Okay, try to create some fields here. Click on this new button. Okay, click on this new button. Click on this new button. I'm trying to creating some fields. Click on text and hardware one length is 25. Click on next. Go to user object. In user object, we are trying to creating some fields. One field is hardware one, and go to here. We will try to create one more field. That is same concept, the same whatever the example previously we discussed, right? The same example again here we are trying to discuss. Okay, and go to here. Click on the next button. Click on the next. Finally, try to save this. So user object, we go to user object. User is a standard object. Okay, user is a standard object. In user object, we created hardware one field, hardware two field. Okay, hardware two fields we created. User is there, first name is there. Okay, first name and some other fields are there. Okay, some other fields are there. Okay. Now coming into okay, coming into sales team data object. Okay, now coming into sales team data object. So I will just go to here. I will create one lookup field to the user. Go to sales team data object. Just now we created one object, right? Go to sales team data object. Go to sales team data object. Okay, go to sales team data object and try to create one lookup field. Okay, lookup field is nothing but to the user. Here I will just make it as a hardware owner. Hardware owner. This is a lookup to the user object. Suppose user is trying to creating a sales team record. Suppose user is trying to creating a sales team record, and user he will select the hardware owner. Here we have only one user, right? We have only, sorry, two users, right? Two user. Suppose user he will select hardware owner. Suppose user he will select the hardware owner, any user. That data, that data it should populate into this particular field. That is my requirement. That is my requirement. What is my requirement here is, so user is trying to creating one sales team record. While creating a sales team record, suppose user he will select the hardware owner. Hardware owner is a lookup field to the user. Hardware owner is a lookup field to the user. So suppose you will select the Ramesh, then which data we have to fetch? Fetch these two data. And where we have to populate? We have to populate into here. We have to populate into here. Two fields, this data into here, this data into here, we have to populate. That is my requirement. So go to sales team data object, go to object, go to sales team data, and go to fields and relationships. Click on this new button. I'm trying to creating one field here, lookup field we are trying to creating. Select the lookup, then click on the next button. Then with which object we are trying to making? We are trying to making with the user object. Then click on the next. Click on the next. Here I will just make this one as a hardware owner. Hardware owner. Then click on the next. Click on the next, then click on next. Finally try to save this one. Now go to sales team data. Okay, now go to sales team data. Go to sales team data tab. Suppose user is trying to creating a new sales team record. User is trying to creating new sales team record. Suppose he will enter any data here, it doesn't matter what we are expecting. So he will select any one of the user, hardware owner, he will select any one of the user. Click on the save button. So user is trying to creating new sales team record. While creating a new sales team record, suppose he will select hardware owner. Hardware owner is what? It is a lookup field. Lookup to which object? To the user object. So in the user object, we have two fields are there. Fetch the data from those two fields and we have to assign into ST1, ST2. That is my requirement. Requirement is clear or any question? Requirement is clear or any question? Same concept here. You have to understand the concept. Same thing. Here what we are doing? Suppose user is trying to creating new account record. While creating a new account record, suppose user he will select the sales team data. Then we are fetching the data and storing into here. Right? We are storing into here. Here what we are doing? Suppose user is trying to creating a new sales team record. While creating a new sales team record, suppose he will select the hardware owner. Suppose he will select the hardware owner and click on the save button. Then what we are expecting? We are expecting fetch these two data and assign into here. That's what we are expecting. So in our requirement, how many objects are there? Sales team data is there, user object is there. Then where we'll write our trigger? Sales team data object will write our trigger. So go to file, click on this new button, Apex trigger, okay, populate user data, any name, it doesn't matter. On which object? We are working with the sales team data, right? Here sales team data, go to here. We are working with the sales team data. See, this is my trigger name. On which object we are writing? Sales team data object, right? What is the API? Sales team data underscore C. So this trigger, when it will fire? Whenever we are trying to creating a new record. So here, what is my requirement? Suppose user will select the hardware owner. So we need this particular field. We need this particular field means first you have to bring the complete record. How to bring the complete record? How to bring the complete record? So go to here, you will just go and use it as a trigger.new. Trigger.new means it will give the complete record. Which record it will give? We are working with the sales team data, right? Sales team record it will give. Okay, sales team record it will give. Sales team record it will give. Now we are getting sales team record. From the sales team record, what we have to check it? Suppose user will select the hardware owner. How we are going to check? User will selected the hardware owner or not? If sales team record data dot hardware owner, see here, hardware owner we created, right? 1 second, where is here? 1 second, try to save this one. Okay, if sales team record dot hardware owner underscore C does not equals to null. Suppose user will select the hardware owner. Because of why we are adding a null check? This is called null check. Generally we will use the terminology whether this is a null or not. We are checking. Suppose user will not select, then the system it will add null value. Suppose user will select, then the system it will add the ID of that particular record. That's why here we are adding the null check. Suppose user will select the hardware owner, then what we have to do? Hardware owner is what? It is a lookup field. Lookup to what? It is a lookup to the user object. So we have to fetch the data from the user object. Select ID, which field we want to fetch? Hardware owner. See, hardware owner underscore C, hardware owner underscore C. I mean two fields. We are trying to fetching these two fields from which object? User object, where id is equals to this one. Id is equals to this one. As a result, what we are getting? How many records we are getting? Only one record, right? One record. Which record we are getting? User record, right? User record. Then what is my next step? This data, whatever the data is there right here, user record data, hardware one, this data, where we have to assign? We have to assign into this particular sales team. In the sales team, which field we have to assign? Sales team we have to assign into st1 here, st1, right? st1 underscore C here. Here also we have to assign, see, sales team record data st2, and here hardware 2. This is my trigger. Suppose user is trying to creating a new sales team record. While creating a sales team record, suppose user will select the hardware owner. What is a hardware owner? Hardware owner is a custom field, and this is a lookup field. Lookup to which object? To the user object. So front end it will show the name hardware owner, in the sense means it will show like Ramesh or Akira, it will show. Okay, Ramesh or Akira it will show. Okay, so but backend what it will do? It will fetch that record ID, it will fetch. Okay, it will fetch that record ID, it will fetch. Okay, now what we are doing? We are trying to searching in the user object. Any user is there with this particular record ID? Yes, user is there means fetch that user record. From that user record, you have to assign this data into this particular sales team. So finally, we are getting the output. So, but here the problem is in the previous trigger and this trigger. What is the problem is? We are writing SOQL queries here. We are writing SOQL query, right? This is Salesforce object query language, right? We are trying to fetching the data from the object, right? We are writing SOQL query, right? We are writing SOQL query inside for loops here. Inside this for loop only, right? We are writing this SOQL query. Okay, here you have to observe inside this for loop only we are writing this SOQL query, right? So this is not the best approach. The first problem is, what is the problem? Here it is giving the output. Here also it will give the output, and this trigger also it will give the output. Then what is the problem? The first problem is we will not write SOQL queries inside for loop. Okay, we will not write SOQL queries inside for loop. For loop, no one will accept. Suppose we are writing SOQL query inside for loop. Suppose anyone will look into our code, boss, this is not following good practice. Okay, you have to bring this SOQL query outside of the for loop. Okay, outside of the for loop, we will not write SOQL queries inside for loop. That is the first point. Okay, the second one is just remember, whenever we are writing a trigger, we will always think, suppose we will insert 100 records at a time. We will insert 100 records at a time. We will insert 100 records at a time. That is nothing but bulkifying. We will insert more records. We will update more records. We will delete more records. That time my trigger code it will work. That time my trigger code it will work. So in that way we have to think. Whenever we are writing a trigger, always our trigger it will support bulkifying concept. Bulkifying concept is nothing but whenever we are inserting huge data from the data loader or some other tool. Suppose we are trying to updating the data, suppose we are trying to deleting the data, then our trigger code it will support. These 2 points we have to remember. Whenever we are writing a trigger, what is the first step? So our trigger code it will support whenever user is trying to creating multiple records or updating multiple records or deleting multiple records. Our trigger code it should support. That is in our mind. This trigger it will not support. What is the problem? I will explain. And the next one is, no one will write SOQL queries inside for loop. Okay, no one will write SOQL queries inside for loop. What is the problem is, I will explain. Then what is the solution for this one? Is, we will just go and implement a set list map. Okay, list is there, right? List, set is there, right? Map. By using these three collections, again we will discuss this trigger. By using list, by using set, by using map, again we will write the trigger. That is a final trigger. Suppose you will go to any project, they will ask you, they will maximum we will get these type of requirement. Okay, we can use that trigger, whatever we are writing the trigger, right? That trigger we can use as a template. Okay, each and every line we have to understand why we are using set, why we are using map, why we are using list. Each and every step we have to understand. That is a final trigger format. Suppose we join in the project, anyone will ask write a trigger, in the sense means in that format only we have to write a trigger. So, and whenever we are writing a trigger, we will always remember, we have our trigger it will support bulkifying concept. Bulkifying is nothing but whenever we are trying to inserting, updating, deleting multiple records at a time. Suppose I am trying to inserting 100 records at a time. So go to data loader. Suppose I am trying to inserting 100 records at a time. What it will happen? Yes, you will specify the batch size as a 100 instead of 1. Assume that you specify the batch size as a 1. Now coming into here. So what it will do? How many times this SOQL query it will execute? How many times? Here it will take this first record. Okay, here it will go to this SOQL query, it will execute. So again trigger.new means it will take those 100 records, whatever the batch size is there, right? Those 100 records it will take. So what it will do? So it will take first record, it will go to here and it will execute this one. First record it will go to here and it will execute this one time SOQL query it will execute. Again next SOQL query, how many times this SOQL query it will execute? 100 times it will execute. Okay, that is the first point. So we will get a SOQL area, SOQL error we will get, 1001 SOQL exception we will get. So that we'll discuss. So whenever we are trying to inserting multiple records, assume that I am trying to inserting 100 records by using data loader. So the batch size is 100, then what it will happen? So our trigger it will find, because of we are selected insert operation and we are using data loader account object, click on insert button, then our trigger it will find. Then what it will do, trigger.new it will take those 100 records, because of we specify the batch size, right? So first record it will verify, first this SQL query it will execute, it will execute that SQL query, right? It will execute that SQL query. Okay, next again it will take another record, so it will execute again this SQL query, like that 100 times this SQL query it will execute. Okay, and there is some issue, okay, whenever we are trying to discussing that set list map, that time I will explain. Okay, and another issue is that trigger it will not work properly, the trigger it will not assign the data properly. So that we will discuss in the next session. uh, so just remember, whenever we are writing a trigger, we have to remember our trigger it will support bulkifying concept. Bulkifying is nothing but whenever we are trying to inserting multiple records at a time, our trigger it should support. How it will support in the sense means we have to write set a list map. Set a list map we have to use in our trigger, and this is